So there's been a lot of crazy and quirky builds recently in TVP. I remember seeing this when I first watched like Maru play, and he started cheesing quite a chunk. And because I was struggling in TVP on ladder, you know, like it doesn't seem the super most consistent matchup. And but on both ends, like some stuff can really catch you by surprise. Like a Widowmine drop can potentially end the game. Another kind of drop can potentially end the game. Like Protoss doing whatever. But yeah, we already see something very unusual from MarineLorD here. Going for the gas first, getting the barracks down, then getting this wall off. So what do you think about this? Because is this just him trying to deny scouting immediately and playing a bit weird like that?
Well, yeah, certainly on that, but it's kind of what I was expecting, you know, like MarineLorD, even when the other Terrans were also kind of in favor of this, we even saw here Marine do a couple of factory expands or factory pushes even, it felt like MarineLorD is doing it more than most. He really wants to get that earlier start to the game and his advantage, or straight up win, actually. Occasionally he was going for just, you know, I would even refer to as all-ins. But it's something that is so frustrating for the Protoss, right? Because they can't get that scout into the main base, especially depending on like what they're going for. You know, that Twilight Council first is going to give you really an option to get in there. So you know that it was a factory. You're going to see the command center timing and know it was a factory expand. So you got that down. But then what is coming out of that factory? Where is the starport? The starport could be proxy and he's going into Hellions, you know, especially if this probe dies before it sees if there's in fact a transfer for the reactor.
Did that probe actually get to see the factory there? So it got to see that there was a barracks with a reactor? So far, this doesn't really give away that much. He can be like, okay, that CC is a little bit later than normal, and be like, okay, most likely it's going to be reacted Hellions, because they have become a lot more prominent in this matchup. But yeah, this is already going to be... I mean, this is annoying, having to deal with this adept and stuff, but yeah, already SKillous knows that he's going to be under threat from something, but he doesn't know entirely what just yet.
I think he's figured it out. I feel like this is one of the more common ones, and it's also kind of, I think, more of the, you know, when you don't know what's going on, you want to think of the more immediate, like, truly threatening things. Like, you don't know what the Protoss is doing. Okay, maybe imagine a proxy Oracle that would kill you right here, right now. But as soon as you see that the factory is on the reactor and there's Hellions, I think you've got to wonder if the starport's out somewhere, and there's going to be a drop. Problem is, you could even scout the starport and know the medevac is going to be out there with the Hellions, and you as a Protoss player just don't have a lot of units. So you could know it's coming and still not be able to properly defend this, and that's what makes it so damn tricky. And I think SKillous has kind of figured it out, as certainly as far as the Hellion opener goes. But then how do you deal with the positioning? How do you deal with keeping tabs on the medevac?
One thing I love about this, by the way, SKillous scouted everywhere in that top portion of the map, like close to his main. The starport was just on the other side of the map, and these Hellions, they're now inside, and these probes, they're down for the taking, and luckily SKillous's units are in a pretty decent location here, and this Hellion drop, I don't think this was very well handled by MarineLorD at all, and yeah, MarineLorD in his webcam kind of realized, like, damn, this thing, I see Clem do this, he gets like 15 probes, and I got 4, and now SKillous is like, you know what, I'm going basically 2 base charge and getting a 3rd Nexus. All well and good in the hood.
I love that too. I mean, he could be setting up for some like future 3-base power charge thing, but I think really just most importantly, keeping in mind that a tank follow-up can be that progression. I feel like MarineLorD, even if that was his plan, you know, he's like, okay, I'll do a Hellion drop and then do like a follow-up tank and really, really kick him where it hurts, right? I'm not sure you do that because that really was not that great of a Hellion drop. And yes, SKillous is absolutely eager to get to charge, which tanks would fall to pretty easily. I think MarineLorD, I don't even mind where he dropped, you know, because even though it looks like, well, that's way too obvious. That's right next to the army. Like, what are you doing? I feel like he had a couple of seconds to get some good shots, but it was almost because he was dropping in the middle of the probe line that like 4 Hellion shots went 4 different directions, right? So he didn't actually kill very much, and that must be a very frustrating thing. And then, of course, to lose all the Hellions is the most problematic, and that's going to put him behind. SKillous can play out much of his preferred game here, which is charge, gateways, and a dark shrine, also on the way with a warp prism. Yeah, he could actually just go for the follow-up attack, and that is what we kind of expect from him, I guess, as a player.
Yes, like, even at the best of times, even if he took loads of damage, that could be kind of like the real thing that gets him on his trajectory to do this, but the fact that he took no damage, barely at all, And, you know, we got to see that later CC and all that kind of jazz. And we do see that MarineLorD's still making tanks, which, you know, they're a good defensive unit, but are they good against Mash Charge Lot Archon, which is going to be what SKillous is going to be making? Not really. And DTs as well are thrown into the mix. Like, this is definitely going to come down to whether MarineLorD can hold this well, but also what's he going to do afterwards? Because SKillous, he's mining more than him, and he's just playing really well so far.
And at least MarineLorD takes care of the first DT well, and he knows about the ones in the main base. He has a scan for that too. The DTs, if they split up, oh, one gets hit by a tank twice, but barely survives. That does suck, and the Warp Prism comes back in for more DTs. He's realizing that there's not many missile turrets, and there's not that much scan energy, so he's going to try and continue to at least get some damage. A tank goes down, that is nice, and he might even save this DT. More SCVs going down as that one didn't die.
Oh.
Ow. Just a lot of ow right now.
Oh, that was a little bit of a blunder by SKillous. But when the amount of stuff that is going right for him, like 13 SCVs die, and the thing is, you might be like, oh, that's not that bad, is it? Well, it's actually really freaking bad. Like 66 probes versus 37 harvesters. It's kind of meant to be the Terran slowing down the Protoss at this point in time, whereas that was like the reversal happening. And yeah, MarineLorD, he has to get damage done. He has to counterattack, but this isn't that scary. Although I look at SKillous' army, and that's also small.
Yeah, I think that's maybe SKillous was going to do an attack, but then saw that MarineLorD's maybe on 2 bases or something like that, because his Forge, if he wasn't going to do a swift attack, feels like it could have been here faster. Maybe +1 could have been done. That's big maybe, though. But yeah, he certainly seemed like he was ready for an attack. Now he's still ready to engage on an attack, but he's got to play it still a little bit safer, a little bit more tactical. Not just going to be able to overrun MarineLorD, as in fact, MarineLorD drops into the main base, forces the Zealots, kind of gets disconnected from the rest of the army, takes out 3 gateways with the production, takes out the Robo as well, and is going to be able to get out of there because Blink is not done. Takes some Zealots down with them. Get out of there before you lose those medevacs, but not a bad drop. It still is a 2-base Terran. Okay, 3rd base now on the way versus this 3-base SKillous that, gosh, I even kind of want him to throw down a 2nd Forge, you know, with a 4th Nexus.
He's rich. Like, he really is.
Yeah.
Even though that drop went pretty damn well for MarineLorD, SKillous did something really, really good there. He left just enough Zealots to deal with the ground army that MarineLorD left behind. So he actually cleaned that up while dealing with the drop, and that really shows these supplies. He's got a 30 supply lead here. He's 22 probes ahead. MarineLorD's trying to do everything he can with this little ragtag group of Marine Marauder medevac, and he's microing his little butt off, but he's got such a mountain to climb. So we might see some very extreme, like very risky plays from him, because this is the stage of the game where it's like MarineLorD is definitely behind and he knows it.
I mean, do you think that SKillous is maybe not playing enough of like the get farther ahead game? Okay, now he throws on a 4th Nexus, but he is definitely respecting MarineLorD's army. You know, as far as the pacing goes, I think we're in agreement that it feels like, you know, SKillous would be the one to brought out of control if nothing else happens. But yeah, it seems like SKillous is just like well aware that he could, I guess, get overconfident. So he's been building up an army, delaying his technology, now taking an engagement where the tanks were not sieged. Most of the Zealots go away, though, as MarineLorD does have an upgrade lead. But with that supercharged battery and Archons and Immortal and more Warp-ins, eventually this will be cleaned up.
It certainly will. It certainly will. And MarineLorD, you know, he's down in supply. He's got Zealots in his main base. That Harvester count is just seemingly not gone past like 40 SCVs for a long time. And, you know, like, when you're trying to deal push, it gets deflected, and then your opponent's doing a bigger push inside your main base with a Warp Prism. Yeah, that's a feels bad man moment right there.
Yeah. I mean, SKillous really did have enough army to spread around, plus the confidence of his position in this game to do both. And now going to grab the 3rd CC, which just recently finished. Again, MarineLorD's arms might not look that bad, but his position in this game was quite bad. GG, SKillous takes game number 1. Really off the back of that early Hellion drop, not doing very much at all.
No, it like definitely didn't get enough done. I'm always, you know, if you see that you land the Hellion drop and there's like Protoss units there, one thing I've noticed with Clem, he will always run away from them, like run and shoot, run and shoot, run and shoot. Like Hellions, they don't shoot fast, and they're one of the more microable units in that respect that They don't shoot fast, meaning when you get your shot off, you have a lot of time to move. So when you see Clem's Hellion drop, he's always on the run. Like always, he'll pick up and then go again. Whereas MarineLorD choosing to kind of like man fight those probes while taking a lot of damage also from the units and the probes. Yeah, that was definitely not the best handling by MarineLorD, but it's the first game of the series. I like that he threw something a little bit wacky and wild at him. Because again, I do know MarineLorD for doing those kind of crazy builds and keeping very up to date with the meta. But SKillous, he just handled it well, man. And MarineLorD, he's got to do a bit more damage than that if he wants to do these wild builds.
And I do worry for as to what other things MarineLorD could do, because it also felt like SKillous was preparing for a lot of the different options. You know, you're kind of probably more leaning towards that Hellion drop as anything coming out of that factory expands, but it's not, you know, it's not quite for sure. But with his, I think it was a robo opener, right? And then he had a sentry as well to open up. Like if anything comes out later, he's going to be able to scout it. He's going to be able to respond to it. He was playing a fairly safe game. And that means that MarineLorD, even though you would want to put out just like, well, now that he's shown one factory expand option, maybe he'll show another one later on, and that'll really screw with SKillous. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, maybe, you know, maybe like a proxy factory, like really change things up, or hell, maybe he does play a regular game and SKillous is then over defensive, right? But I don't know. SKillous seems like he knows what MarineLorD is about. He's going to be on guard against some of the earlier aggression.
Yeah, and even though SKillous didn't find the starport, his scouting was actually really good for it. Like, you saw as soon as he spotted the base of MarineLorD and saw there wasn't a CC, he was immediately, I'm going to scout for the proxy, because where is it? It has to be around here, because the main threat is my main base. Anyhow, spawning in the bottom left-hand side, playing as the Red Terran, it is MarineLorD.
In the top right, playing for Cascade, he is the Blue Protoss, SKillous.
It's a cool-looking octopus.
Yeah, I like their logo. There's actually some really cool logos out there from a lot of the teams even. I even like Blazer's logo, honestly. It's just like a nice little bee, but I don't know. I think it's actually really clean.
Even Blazer's logo, hey?
Well, I mean, it is just a bee. So
no, I get you. I'm also I love the fact that we have these decals and stuff on the buildings and what have you now, and yeah, people can make their own. Like, you've seen, is it Lambo with like the Keck W emote?
Is it? I think maybe because he's on Team Teamless. I don't remember.
I love the fact that people have like started uploading their own things like that, but it's not gone too crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, look at MarineLorD. He's actually doing what looks like the same opening again, and it is. Okay. So very often I could be like, why do the same strat that, you know, you just lost with? Isn't that a bit of a blunder, mate? But given that it could be done so much freaking better, and you really saw that in his face. Like, I love the fact that we have the webcams and we can see the players' reactions to stuff. Because, yeah, that didn't go well. So I'm looking to see him do it, but just do it as well as he knows he can. And by the way, SKillous' scout this game, he didn't go directly to the base of MarineLorD. So this game, he's definitely not in the know as quickly.
Yeah, he took some time to get over last game too, but you're right. I don't think he spent time working on his own base first and foremost. But he did manage to avoid the Marine just enough last game to get up there to see there was a reactor. It was the Adept, though, that did see that it was a swap off from the factory. It's going to be the same thing? Yeah? Oh, jeez. Oh, God.
Oh my. Oh. You know, this is when you can... This is when you can definitely say to flat earthers that the Earth is not flat, because that probe, if it was flat, would have definitely seen that starport, you know, just on the horizon a little bit over there. But no, totally missed it. Totally missed it. And SKillous, like, he's now looking for that starport. And I'm looking at his camera angle, actually. Like, he's frantically looking around the map, trying to send his units here, there, and everywhere. And this game, he is opting for Phoenix. Mm-hmm. So he's also showcasing that he's quite versatile, actually, in PvT.
Yeah. I mean, either option, a Robo or a Stargate, and actually I kind of really like the Stargate, I think it's going to be good against someone that can do different things in the early game. The Twilight Council is the one that gets kind of scary, because that blink doesn't actually kick in for quite some time. But we'll see if the Phoenixes are actually in the correct position, because that's kind of like the crux of the issue for most of these builds, like these Hellion drops. Like, are your units in position? Do you have a wall so they only have one place to be in position? Or do you just find yourself late to the party? The Phoenix can lift up 1 and actually now 2, the second Phoenix on the way, and take away that one-shot power of the Hellions, which is really important. But again, they have to be in position. The Phoenixes are not going to see the medevac. Their patrol is a little far to the left. Pulling away, a little bit of Awkward Sim City might help out, actually. SKillous, yeah, they didn't really have a lot of room to maneuver. Those Hellions are picked up. They get 3 probe kills, and that is going to be it. Just 3? I'm
gonna say it, like, SKillous is handling these drops really well, but I also feel that MarineLorD there's way too much, like, there's no fluidity in his Hellions. Like, they're just kind of standing there and like taking damage. Like the medevac, it's not only for getting them in, it's also for saving them when they get into a precarious spot. Which the best guy, like, if you ever want to see this done super duper well, like Clem, he actually makes it look super duper imbalanced with how well he micros it. And they're like, MarineLorD actually micros really damn well, but it just shows you that there's a lot of finesse in the very little things with StarCraft 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I think this is an okay analogy. It kind of reminds me of like the difference of someone who's okay with Oracle control and like Classics Oracle control, like the gliding that can happen versus someone who's pretty good but doesn't glide as smoothly. And you're just like, yeah, you probably could have gotten 6 SCV kills and you only got 3 or 4. It's kind of reminds me of it. It is a little bit more stuttery, or just simply doesn't move much at all. And in this specific game, he did kind of get tucked into this weird positioning that would have been great for 8 Marines. If they were dropped in that position, would be fantastic. But the Hellions, when I actually chase after those probes, trying that, they're lining up, and that one shot could be the difference of 9 probes killed versus just the 3 that he actually got, which is even worse than last game, isn't it? Didn't you get 4 last game?
Yep. It definitely wasn't the best situation for him. I think also, I hate being super critical. I hate being super critical of players because they have practiced so much for this moment, and this is when they're like showing off. But obviously, builds change so fast and so frequently. But one thing I've seen from a lot of Terrans, when you do this kind of stuff, when you're really delaying your natural to get up such a fast factory, they'll actually go for like a 5th and 6th Hellion, and those will run into the natural as you're dropping into the main kind of thing. Like, it's very well in sync. And I've seen Maru do this and Clem do this. And it's just one of those cases where we saw it throughout the TVP between Hero Marine and Christiana, just making the Protoss deal with 2 things at once. It just makes their life so much more difficult.
Oh, I really hope MarineLorD doesn't push out. SKillous is going to be so eager for him to push out. His gateways are finishing. He's once again pushed off of Forge. We are familiar with this Phoenix charge. If it's Phoenix Colossus, I think then, pushing out has some merit. But Phoenix charge, it's the most powerful right now. Even an upgrade behind, just the sheer number of units in the way that, you can't really retreat from it either. We've seen this actually. Yesterday we saw it, that it can be so powerful kind of in this specific instance, as long as you get enough of those zealots, right? So you're going to want a couple more warp-ins. We're going to want insane number of charge lots, but if MarineLorD pushes into that, he's going to be in for a world of hurt.
Is he realizing it? Is he shocking around? It looks like he is backing off, which is the right move against all of this, because there is one advantage that he does have, and that's that he has upgrades. And there's no splash currently in this army of SKillous. Holy crap, it says it on the screen, and I almost forgot. I was trying to call him a Hellraiser for a second. But yeah, he doesn't have upgrades, and he's invested in all these shield batteries here at this 3rd. So, I mean, SKillous, he hasn't really put a foot wrong, but if MarineLorD just kind of re-goes in, let's say, kind of now-ish, he's in much better shape, and now this is a very scary army to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a point where the army of the Terran does get better than what SKillous has right now, but I mean, that point can be kind of a hard one to really say. If you have better upgrades, that is definitely a good point, but then also you got to make sure you're in a decent position, because if you're caught in the middle with the charge lots around, you're not going to do well, even with an upgrade lead. And this seems like a pretty decent position. In comes SKillous, double Guardian Shield. Phoenix is looking for the tanks, but kind of being buffered away from them. Now going to go for the liftoffs. So a lot of the Zealots have been taken care of, but without the tanks really supporting, it looks like the Marines are in fact going to have to run away. Just enough Zealots left over. As weak as they are still alive. They are still tanking. Trying to take out some of those Phoenix, I guess, is always the right move, because you know you're not going to escape anyways. But SKillous cleans that up and has units to spare, actually. As I said, lots of red Zealots, orange Zealots, but all still alive.
Yeah, and, you know, SKillous is out of the scary part of the game now. Like, now he's in his comfort zone, starts putting up the Robo. In fact, is that his first Robo? It is. So this Robo, super damn late, but that just shows you how committed he was to stopping any sort of aggression. And like very simplistic aggression, nothing with like cloak, nothing like no burrowed widow mines kind of thing with an armory. So he knew exactly what was coming, and he shut it down super hard. And now he's a 3-base, soon to be 4-base Protoss against a Terran that can't really move out of his 2-base situation. And if he does, well, I don't think it's going to be pretty, Zombie Grub.
Yeah, it's always difficult. It really is. I mean, this was a very popular style a couple of years ago, and it took a while for Terrans to really determine exactly when they could push in. But that is him trying to just play out the rest of this game. He needs a 3rd CC eventually. He needs to try and take it, but whether he waited or tried to take it now, it was never going to be pretty. The Phoenix is taking out a lot of the Marauders from the equation, a lot of the Medivacs, and MarineLorD just taps out. SKillous does take the 2